Hi, beautiful people. My name is Brenda Marie Davies, and I advocate for sex-positive, LGBTQ+ affirming, science-believing faith. So I've had strong feelings brewing about Bethel Church in Redding, California for a hot minute. I've done a lot of research, and I have a lot of questions for Bethel and its leadership. But before we begin, of course, I am always promoting thanks. This period underwear is incredible. It keeps you feeling like a clean, dry adult while having your period. So click my offer code below to get a few pairs of your own. Also, my novel On Her Knees is available for pre-sale. I'm so excited to share this story with you, so click below to pre-order your copy today. Now, Bethel Redding, where do we begin? Do I have major theological disagreements with the church? Yes, but let's not get into that. Do I have complicated feelings about Bethel's Wake Up Olive campaign in 2019, which brought Bethel nationwide attention for praying for the resurrection of a 2-year-old girl? Yes, but let's not get into that. Do I have a problem with Chris Vallotton's ignorant misrepresentation of LGBTQ people?
The new fad of pansexual, fluid sexuality, bisexuality is proof positive in itself that sexuality is not a biological condition but a choice. In other words, if I say to you, I'm pansexual, which means I may be a boy today and a girl tomorrow.
Or with their support group changed for, quote, same-sex attracted people to, quote, leave homosexuality behind? Yes and yes, but let's not get into those issues either. Today, instead, we're focusing on Sean Feucht's disregard for state law, Chris Vallotton's deleted prophecy apology, and the question of why on God's green earth the IRS is allowing Bethel and other megachurches to maintain their tax-exempt status. I consider myself a patriotic American and a Christian above all. But being both, I refuse to idol worship political leaders, which we've seen happening all across American churches. And I do think the law matters, especially when it comes to protecting the marginalized. But now, some of our most prominent religious leaders have their hands all over politics while being wealthy and powerful as hell. And before we begin, let me be clear. I'm not opposed to religious leaders praying for political leaders or even being close to or friends with them. However, the churches I'm about to show you are blatantly using faith and spiritual manipulation to coax their congregations to vote a particular way. Paula White, prosperity doctrine preacher and spiritual advisor to Donald Trump, called on angels from Africa and South America to bring Trump victory.
Angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here.
Kenneth Copeland, an American televangelist and author who owns private jets and happens to be terrifying, stands on platform while laughing maniacally about Trump's loss.
Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Associated Press said that Joe Biden is president. Ha! Yeah, he's going to be president. Mickey Mouse is going to be king. Yeah.
Pastor Gregg Locke of Global Vision Bible Church in Tennessee has also been aggressively spiritually manipulating his congregation and followers to vote Trump. And I mean aggressively. This pastor's posts are arrogant and cruel.
We're living in the last days. God has raised this man up. I am not abandoning Donald Trump. Donald Trump single-handedly won the presidency of the United States. Joe Biden and Kamala, whatever her name is, Harris, will never be president and vice president. Stop calling them elect, okay? He's going to lock us down. He's going to destroy businesses. He's going to jail pastors. He's going to put us all in masks, but they're going to have to roll up with some tanks, ladies and gentlemen, because we ain't stopping. We ain't quitting. We're not done. We're just getting started real good.
Side note, his ex-wife accused him of spousal abuse. While he once tweeted, quote, "The funny thing is, at real Donald Trump is still the president and she's still a hooker," referring to Stormy Daniels, which totally displays Jesus' profound love for sex workers. Am I right? Anyway, in August 2020, Locke's church hosted the testimony of Roger Stone, longtime Trump ally and political consultant who was convicted in 2019 of lying and witness tampering in the investigation on collusion between Donald Trump's campaign and Russia. Y'all know I believe in forgiveness and redemption. This has nothing to do with judging Roger Stone's character. What we are discussing is Global Vision Bible Church's tax-exempt status, because in this, quote, testimony, Roger compared Republican and Democratic voting to good versus evil, and touted Trump as a Jesus-honoring choice.
He is precisely the kind of person the Lord is calling on to save this nation.
So let's dive in on 2 points. 1, Bethel Church, please correct me if I'm wrong and I will issue a retraction. But according to my research, Bethel is a 501c3, meaning they are automatically considered tax exempt. According to an article by Annalise Pierce, a graduate of Bethel's ministry school, who received comment from Bethel Church Communications Director Aaron Tesoro, in fiscal year 2017-2018, Bethel Church reported almost $60.8 million in overall income. Bethel Church Communications Director Aaron Tesoro clarified that the church pays sales tax on all product sales, but sales service and royalty income reported by the church does not include royalties from the many books written by Bethel leaders or the fees paid for these leaders' speaking engagements around the country and the world. Quote, this income goes directly to individuals or their personal nonprofits, and the amounts are not reflected in Bethel Church's numbers, end quote. I, of course, would be curious to see where all these millions of dollars go. The pastoral staff has often been accused of driving high-end sports cars and living lavishly, while the church itself claims its missions and finances are above reproach. However, the IRS explicitly states that a tax-exempt church may not be an action organization, i.e., it may not attempt to influence legislation as a substantial part of its activities, and it may not participate in any campaign activity for or against political candidates. Meanwhile, the leadership at Bethel flagrantly promotes Trump, which, from my understanding, should immediately disqualify their tax-exempt status. Which brings us to number 2, spiritual manipulation. There are few things that upset me more as a Christian than to watch pastors impose their personal opinions to manipulate and force their congregation to behave or vote a certain way. Watch even here as Beni Johnson, senior leader of Bethel, condescends a town requiring masks in the midst of our global pandemic, while her daughter claims to have a medical condition.
So we're standing in the line to get our food outside, no mask on.
Like 12 feet away from people.
Yeah, and people are moving away from us and talking about us. And the thing is I walked up to the lady to order and I put my mouth over my sweatshirt just to be...
Your sweatshirt over your mouth?
My sweatshirt over my mouth just to be nice. And she said, no, you have to wear a mask. And she made Leah step away.
I said, I have a medical condition, I cannot wear one.
If you'll do the scientific research, these masks are worthless. But now we won't be shopping and giving them any money because you have to wear a stupid freaking mask.
Sure, that wasn't a sermon, but Beni is a spiritual leader. She must know the mask conversation is divisive and alienating, and yet she's putting it on the internet for her congregation to see. Of course, Beni wound up apologizing for this post. Since early September, 274 coronavirus cases have been confirmed at the Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. Quote, school co-founder Chris Valentin addressed the spike in cases among students and staff in a Facebook video. He mentioned Johnson's video and said she was speaking for herself, not for Bethel Church or the school. Valentin said masks are the law, and also we personally believe it's more than law. It's about love. So Bethel's Chris Valentin is comparing wearing a mask to an act of love, while Bethel's boy Sean Feucht is out there saying something completely different. But first, let's stay on spiritual manipulation a little bit longer. Beni Johnson claimed in a recent post that she is, quote, a feeler, a seer, and therefore knows a Biden presidency would lead to, quote, so much destruction.
And you know, one of the things that they're saying to me is that I need to just stop posting what I'm posting, and I'm just stirring up discourse, confusion, and I should really be going after healing and unity in the body. Peace, brother. I believe in all that, but right now I can't do that. I'm a feeler, I'm a seer. I can see what's going to happen in the future. And let me tell you, if this man, he gets in, we're going to see so much destruction.
Meanwhile, Chris Valentin himself had already prophesied Trump would win, apologized for that prophecy.
I really want to apologize, sincerely apologize for missing the prophecy about Donald Trump. I prophesied that he would not be impeached and the fact that he would win another term. And I was completely wrong. I take full responsibility for being wrong.
But then deleted again, saying, quote, after doing a lot more research, I decided to wait until the official vote count is complete. As it appears, there is a significant amount of discrepancy in the process. If the outcome remains the same, I will repost my apology video. And this all brings up a Bible quote that people tried to use against me incessantly. 1 John 4:1, dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out into the world. Another example comes from senior pastor Denise Goulet of International Church of Las Vegas, who prophesied during a church service that Donald Trump would have a second term as president.
Good morning, Mr. President Trump. It's good to see you again. At 4:30, the Lord said to me, I am going to give your president a second win.
Whoa!
Because the Holy Spirit makes you able to finish. Take this to the end, Mr. President.
Again, how are you all tax exempt? Make it make sense. These tactics of prophecy are effective and dangerous because, one, these pastors do not say, this is my opinion. They just conflate their opinion with God's. And two, the risk of losing your faith community is a daunting thought for a lot of parishioners. When people disagree with their pastor's, quote, prophecy, a lot of them will still fall in line, afraid to lose their church family. And these leaders aren't giving them the grace or the opportunity to discern truth for themselves. Then we've got Sean Feucht, who in 2019, from what I understand, while he was still volunteer worship leader at Bethel, ran for election to the U.S. House to represent California's 3rd Congressional District.
I'm Sean Feucht, and I'm running for Congress.
Again, how are you all tax exempt? And Sean does not share Chris Valentin's sentiment that we should wear masks out of love. And this is a little side note, but according to my research, the majority of mis and disinformation being spread about the pandemic comes from Facebook articles, which is why we're seeing a lot of overlap between anti-maskers and Christians. Many of these articles play up the religious persecution element, saying that a mask is our first step to receiving Revelation's mark of the beast, which would come from a forced vaccine. And my heart goes out to this little TikToker here, because when I was deep in evangelicalism, I used to have persecution fantasies like this too. This is not based in reality. And furthermore, these fantasies perpetuate fear, and fear is the antithesis of Christ. Either way, I'm not trying to get in a mask debate here. I am really not. The truth is, Sean Feucht is receiving international fame for leading unmasked, crammed together worship services in cities across America during a pandemic. And I am devastated to say my girl Lauren Daigle showed up in New Orleans. And say what you will about Sean's intentions, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and just assume he didn't believe coronavirus was real, but this post says otherwise. For all the pro-life rhetoric Sean claims, he wrote, quote, don't let a virus with 99% recovery rate hold you back from bringing Jesus to people that desperately need him. So what of the 242,000 deceased Americans? There is so much more I could say about this, and none of it would be nice. And I really just want to stop with all of this division and hate, a lot of which is being perpetuated by divisive attitudes and actions by people and churches like this. My closing thoughts are, why are you as pastors and worship leaders choosing to be divisive and political? Sean Feucht, are you trying to gain fame and clout? In a nation where many poor and marginalized people don't have access to healthcare that could save them from coronavirus. Beni, too, you are looking mean and angry, actually reveling and blocking and deleting people of opposing views.
This little finger is getting stronger by the day.
This does not look like Jesus' church. And Chris Valentin, I have a complicated opinion on you, but I do appreciate your humility and I love to watch you exercise it. And I beg you to learn more about LGBTQ plus people so you stop misrepresenting them. And lastly, I want to leave us with a Bible verse because Jesus did come and divide, but the divisive thing he brought was love. Galatians 5:13, you, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge in the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. If you bite and devour each other, watch out, or you will be destroyed by each other. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. Let us not become conceited, provoking and envying each other. And that's it. Please like, subscribe, share with your friends. Go pick up your copy of On Her Knees. I love you all so much. God bless.